Welcome to Formula World. I'm your host Dylan Shelley, and here's what's on this episode. First up on Formula World, FIA planning to use Spec Gearboxes. Many people love the relative design freedom and technical prowess of F1 and relish the fact that the sport isn't a spec series. But the FIA and Liberty Media both have been looking at ways to cut costs and make the sport more affordable, and one way they have been thinking of doing that is through the standardisation of certain parts. The FIA have just sent out an official tender request for standardised gearboxes, with the introduction reading as follows. The FIA's objective is to select an exclusive supplier of the gearbox, whose task it will be to ensure the production, delivery and maintenance of the gearbox for the 2021, 2022, 2023 and 2024 seasons of the FIA Formula One World Championship. Some of the key details pertaining to the gearbox specifications state that the gearbox will have 7 forward gears and 1 reverse, and that the gear ratios will be fixed across the entire grid, and each car will be allocated 4 gearboxes per season. Further details included as to the objectives the FIA hope to achieve were stated as follows. The aim of single-source supply is to retain current levels of Formula One gear change performance for all cars at a much reduced cost to the competitors, while also removing the requirements for teams to design or source their own gearboxes. In order to retain the team's own freedoms for suspension and for the gearbox aero surfaces, the outer housing will remain team-specific, designed and produced by the teams, with the common self-contained gearbox cassette mounted inside. The FIA expect a decision to be made regarding the tender between April 15th and 30th. Leclerc on sandbagging. As always at this time of year, people begin to make assumptions on who's looking good and which team has the best car based around the pre-season testing. And while many have pointed towards Ferrari being at the top of the pile, Charles Leclerc has a more pragmatic approach to the speculation. The performance has no meaning for now because it remains testing. They are probably not pushing and we are not either. We don't know how much the others are sandbagging, so we'll see that at the first race. And while Leclerc seems to be more cautious in making predictions, Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko has come out with some rather bold claims. From what I saw yesterday on the circuit, Ferrari at the moment is the fastest car, and behind that is Red Bull and Mercedes. Let's see what we can do in Melbourne, but we are quite optimistic that this year we can win races from our own strength, not only if others have trouble or at special circuits like Monte Carlo. Verstappen expected to be patient. Despite Marko's confidence in his team, it's been stated by most at Red Bull that their first season with Honda will be a cautious one with regards to expectations. And according to Marko, it seems that this message has been communicated clearly to Max Verstappen. We had some discussions, and patience is one thing for sure he will show. He understood if he can't win, it's important to make points, to finish races. Otherwise, you won't win the championship. He's mature now. He's still very young, but he's far more mature. He feels happy, also with the drivability from the engine. We heard last year on the radio that he wasn't so happy sometimes. I think he, and the team, goes with a lot of confidence into this season. Pirelli reveals tyre gap. This year we will see a new approach to the naming of the tyre compounds, and during the testing they are simply referred to as C1 through C5 in order of ascending softness. And after initial testing, Pirelli have now released the lap time deltas for each of the compounds listed as follows. After analysing the Barcelona test data, head of Pirelli's motorsport division Mario Isola has come out saying that a gap of about 0.7 seconds per lap between each compound is in line with their targets. The track is not very long, so 0.7 seconds is a good number considering that the target was 0.8 seconds and 0.9 seconds, so on a long track that could happen. Fast feed. Ricciardo says after the first run of testing with Renault that his first impression was we're in the ballpark. Robert Kubica said that despite a less than ideal start, that he was impressed his team was eventually able to put together a car 5 times faster than normal. Honda F1 technical director Toyoharu Tanabe was pleased with their running, saying everything went smoothly and we had no major issues. Kimi Raikkonen said, I think the team has built a good car. Antonio Giovinazzi says he is proud to be the first Italian driver to race in F1 in 8 years. Rookie driver George Russell said of his Williams car, it's definitely not in its full state after having missed the first 3 days of testing. And Bottas says that balance-wise, his Mercedes feels a little bit on a knife edge. Should F1 have standardised parts? Be sure to vote in the poll and let me know what you think in the comments. And a special thanks to Blaze Hope and KC Croker for becoming Formula World members and helping support the show. And if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos for all the latest in the world of Formula 1.